Okay, so we had a customer reach out to us and he wanted his bot to respond in Spanish when it receives a Spanish message and then to respond in English when it receives an English message. And this is something we've done before, right? So he could not get it to work for him. And let me show you kind of what was happening. So with this bot, obviously when we message it in in Spanish, it is responding in Spanish, right? But let's see what happens when we clear the chat and then we send it in English. So we're just gonna say hi. And it's doing Spanish, right? And just so you're not thinking, oh, that's just because it's a short English word. Let's try, how are you? Yeah, still responding in Spanish. So what's going on here? This is very interesting. So what he has in his prompt here, this basically says important. When you receive English, respond in English. When you receive Spanish, respond with Spanish, right? And it should work. Now, what I started thinking is that maybe it's because the prompt is in Spanish and ChatGPT is getting confused. So that was my intuition. Now, we know that ChatGPT, of course, was trained on the internet, right? And the majority of the internet, especially the sources it was trained on, are in English. So this was my theory. What I did, of course, is, we have access to ChatGPT. So I quickly got it to translate this prompt for me into English. So let me copy that version. We're going to put it in here, replacing the Spanish base system prompt. Okay, now let's clear the chat and let's see what happens. First, we're going to spin Spanish, right? Let's see if Spanish works, even though it's in English now. So we're going to say hola. Okay, that's Spanish. But what about English? Let's try that. So I'm going to clear the chat. I'm going to say hi. Okay, and there we go. Bingo, that is it. So it's because the base system prompt was not written in English. And let me show you the English to put in there to make it respond in English or Spanish. And let's also talk about how you can probably get it to respond in any language, right? So here, you just put something like this, right? Important. If the user sends you a message in English, respond in English. If the user sends you a message in Spanish, respond in Spanish. Now, my suspicion is that what you could do is literally change this to stay important. Respond in the language you receive the message in. And as long as ChatGPT can detect what language that is, which it supports a lot of languages as far as I know, I don't know the exact number, but as long as it understands that, it should be able to respond in that language. So that is how you can do this. Just in general, I always recommend you to do your base system prompts in English. If that's kind of a problem for you, what you can do is, of course, and I don't know if you'd be able to watch this video, but what you can do is, you can write it in your native language if that's easier for you, and then have ChatGPT just translate it for you. So yeah, this was really interesting. Now, the final thing I will say is that so what this customer is trying to do, obviously, is support both English and Spanish in his chatbot. And, it may not be the ideal way to do this in some cases because you're still going to have this having to be in a language. If there's enough interest, we could possibly introduce a translation feature for some of these things that would dynamically translate, but you guys would have to let us know, hey, this is super valuable to us. In the meantime, what could be a better approach, to be honest, is, and it depends on the CMS that they're using, the platform that if this is a landing page, the landing page would have to support this. But many systems support the idea of displaying different data in the web page based on, selecting English versus some other language. So it's not unheard of that what you could do is actually have two chatbots, one in English, one configured in Spanish, and then you actually change the actual code. Let's see, where is that? Yep. So you would actually, use a different link to embed. And actually, I'm sorry, here it is. You would use a different one for the English chatbot, one for the Spanish chatbot, depending on the version of the page that's being displayed. Now, of course, this depends entirely on your content management system. They don't all come with this functionality out of the box, and you'd have to work with your customer to understand how that could work. But that is another option. But this is a great way to do it as well. And what I would recommend doing is just putting a message here that's probably in English, and then you can just say something, respond, supports multiple languages, or something to let the user know that it supports other languages. Maybe by saying something appropriate here for the other, I don't know, but I'm sure you get the idea of what I'm saying. You can put something there to let it know, hey, I can respond in any language. But that is it. So yeah, let us know if you guys have any questions on this at all. Thank you.